Welcome everyone to the Road to Entrepreneurship career panel discussion. I'm very excited to have everyone here today. Becoming a successful entrepreneur is not an easy task. It requires skill, motivation, hard work, and good luck. It also requires information in a large measure. Any entrepreneur stands on the brink of a new future with thousands of questions that needs to be answered. So we wanted to answer those questions and bring some resources to our Hostos community college students. With the pandemic, we all face many layoffs, limited job prospects, and economic uncertainties. However, I know for a fact that many of our students turned into self-employment to function within today's economy. So this event is a collaborative effort between the Hostos Career Services Office, the Transfer Services Office, as well as the Career Club and the Hostos Justice Committee that works to support our students that have been impacted by the criminal justice system. My name is Marcia Milan Bethel, and I'll be one of your hosts this afternoon. But before I introduce our additional hosts and our panel, I would like to know who is here with us. So please state your name and what type of business you hope to open or have opened already in the future. Put that in the chat. I also want to remind everyone that this chat will be monitored. This is a safe space for the Hostos community, and I want everyone to feel welcomed and respected. And if you have any questions for the members of the panel, please use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen, and we will make sure to have that question answered by somebody from our panel. Now, I would like to introduce my two co-hosts from Career Services Office, Ms. Yvonne Rosario and Ms. Alaris Gonzalez.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yvonne Rosario Quiros, Assistant Director of Career Services, and I'm so excited to be here today. We have some wonderful panelists, and I can't wait to get into all of these great questions. Alaris?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alaris Gonzalez, and I am the Career Counselor at the Career Services Office. So I want to welcome you all and thank you for being here. I'm super excited to learn some resources and gain some information for today. I also want to let everyone know that this event is being recorded.
Thank you, ladies. Another thing, Yvonne just put in the chat that we are putting together an attendance form. As we stated on our flyer, we have a few gift cards that we're going to give out. If we don't have time to do it during the Zoom, we will reach out to you via email to let you know that you have won a prize for attending this wonderful event today. So I am going to start off. Again, please make sure that you add your name to our attendance sheet so that you can get your reward for attending. I want to introduce you all to our first panelist. Dale Diamico is the owner of Dale Daniel Landscape Lighting Design since 2014. He installs low voltage landscape lighting systems on Long Island and in the 5 boroughs. He is a 2017 Hostos Community College alumni, and he began his own college experience while incarcerated for 23 years through the prison to college pipeline at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. He also completed a certificate program in human services from the New York Theological Seminary and earned a BA with honors from the City University of New York. So he is true CUNY to the core. He continues advanced coursework at Columbia University Justice and Education Scholar. Dale also serves as a consultant with the Justice Lab at Columbia University, working with Professor Bruce Western on the Rikers Island longitudinal study in collecting, coding, and analyzing data. Dale is also a college initiative mentor at John Jay Institute for Justice and Opportunity, a volunteer at the Parole Preparation Project, and recently helped a gentleman gain his freedom after serving 19 years. Dale, we are so excited to have you here with us. I know you for a long time, and I'm truly excited to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yvonne?
And I am now going to introduce St. Backup. St. Backup is a Hostos Community College alumnus who served as the student government president from 2015 to 2016. Saint's passion for business and entrepreneurship led him to Cambridge, Massachusetts to study business analytics at Harvard University. He is the director of sales and marketing at New York City Books, training specialist with the Commercial Learning and Development Division at Amerisource Bergen. He is an entrepreneur, a real estate consultant and trainer, an international speaker and coach, the author of 8 books, including Wisdom, How to Sell Your House for More Money, and The Home Buyer's Guide. As a trainer, Saint has given lectures at colleges and universities all around the country, including speakers at multiple leadership conferences facilitated by the University of New York. He has spoken to companies both large and small and many nonprofit organizations. His talks center on leadership development, financial literacy, and strategic goal setting. Saint is a husband and a father of a beautiful baby girl. In his downtime time, Saint enjoys spending time with his family, reading, writing, soccer, and golf. Welcome, Saint.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm not sure if Gary's here, but I'm just going to read his bio. Hopefully he'll be joining us shortly.
Yeah.
Our third panelist is Gary Rifkin, and he is the founder and executive director of the City Tutors, a citywide tutoring and professional mentoring nonprofit. From 2014 to 2020, he was the program director of academic support at the Colin Powell School for Civic and Global Leadership at the City College of New York. Gary has an MA in Adult Education, Applied Linguistics from City College. He has more than 10 years of higher education teaching experience, which includes supporting students with growing their writing and reading proficiency, all the way up to preparing students in honors and fellowship programs. He currently teaches public affairs at the City College of New York. Alaris?
Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, Gary.
Okay, so I want to introduce Tanya. So Tanya moved to New York City for the Fashion Institute. She stayed for the energy in search for more creative space than that provided her into the fashion studies. She found the world of interiors, which quickly took over her inspiration. The idea of Milan in the 1970s made her fall in love, and she was hooked. Since Tanya's initial crush with the design capital of the world, her style has evolved towards a more natural, poetic, and romantic aesthetic. Today's Lane Plus alliage is inspired by color, movement, shape, and light. From these elements emerged a mood, a place, and a time that guides the narrative forward. Lane Alaj is a design studio based in New York City dedicated to creating luxury wallpapers, textiles, and pillows. We stand by producing impeccable quality while incorporating eco-friendly practices when they are available. While collections from pillows to wallpaper are carefully crafted to ensure our clients are getting the highest quality products. Thank you, Tanya, for being here with us today. I'm really excited to learn more from you.
Thank you, Marsha.
Okay. All right. So how this is going to work today is we are going to do a series of questions that we have pulled together for our panelists. So some questions will be asked from all panelists and some will just be more specific. Okay. So we're just going to start with Dale and Tanya. I just want to know a little bit more about how or who inspired you to start your business.
Well, I started in the fashion design industry, and I came to FIT for that, and then I went to Paris to work in fashion in the couture industry. I worked for Paco Rabanne, if you're familiar with them. They were very big in the 60s and 70s, and they do a lot of mixed materials. So I was working in the ateliers doing, the runway show, and I was just fascinated by the flexibility, basically, of creativity. It's not just about one style, one aesthetic, or one material. You kind of create your own, and so it led me to start my own thing back in New York.
Very nice. Dale?
For me, let's see, I've been an entrepreneur for most of my life. As a young kid, I grew up poor. I became a drug dealer. I did that for like 13 years. Then I went to prison for 23. I came home in 2013, and I never wanted to go back. I enrolled in Hostos, and I worked summers for my brother, who owns a landscape design and construction company. I was making $10 an hour the first summer. That was no fun. The next summer I was making $20 an hour because I demanded it, otherwise I wouldn't work. And then I learned that my brother was subbing out some work. And I have two friends that used to work for him that started their own business doing landscape lighting. And one of them was making a lot of money. The other guy was just surviving. So I decided I wanted to do something for my own. I wanted the freedom to be my own boss. I worked really hard and I learned the business. Simple as that.
Perfect. Thank you. This one is for Gary. Gary, how did you know you wanted to start your own business, specifically a tutoring company?
Well, I guess I would just, first of all, thank you for having me. I would reframe it, given that I'm a nonprofit entrepreneur, and so no one owns a nonprofit, rather it is something that's community owned, and I founded it more because of the challenges that I was seeing around me, ones that were hidden from view as a student and as a faculty and staff member at CUNY became apparent as I had to support an ever-growing number of students, and so mostly it came out of three different aspects. One being in the classroom as a young teacher. I started when I was 22, and I could, even though my graduate degree is in pedagogy, it was still very much not, the actual work was challenging, and there wasn't as much support as one would think there would be for a new teacher in a higher ed space. I was also a tutor, and there wasn't a lot of support in how to use me. Sometimes it would be, hey, go into the classroom, pick out students, and then just serve them. And then there was also, I was in career services, and there was so many students that were coming through that needed resume reviews, but really they were preparing for their next steps. They wanted to secure employment, and as just a resume clinic, reviewer, I didn't have anything to give them beyond moving their material on a page. So all of those moments felt disempowering, and that coupled with recognizing that my classmates, some of them didn't graduate, and others were still they were paralyzed in their next moves, partly because they personally didn't have a network, and they also didn't have access to resources along the way, that it made sense to do something about it. And for me, it made sense to do this particular type of work because that was what I knew, and that is what I, on a values level, could get behind, especially being an immigrant myself and being a first-generation student.
I want to ask you the next question too, Jerry. What keeps you engaged in this business? I know that you're talking a lot about your experiences as well, but what keeps you engaged in running this nonprofit?
Sure. I think I don't get a chance to talk about that, I guess. But certainly the day-to-day of just constantly getting a chance to engage different aspects of the community. From the morning today, I had a chance to meet a nonprofit and talk with them about how we can partner to serve more of Brooklyn, to then having a meeting with a new volunteer who's who's a PA student at Weill Cornell, so that they can provide mentorship to students, to then talking with some of our advisory board members, thinking about how we can message out our work better, so that we can get more resources. It engages me in all the different ways, from business development to kind of front-facing work to just networking with the diversity of what the city offers. It's really exciting. I can't imagine anywhere that can really bring together all the different interests under one house.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go on to the next question. But before I do that, just know the students that use the Q&A if you have any specific questions that you want to ask. So I'll continue with the next question. What advice would you offer Hostos students who have a talent, want to start their own business, but are hesitant? Tanya, you want to give us your answer?
Sure. My main one would be to network. Networking is probably the most important thing you can do as you start a business, and just making money on the side, just hustling and making money. So don't quit your job before your business is actually bringing in a lot of money, and you're secure enough. So, those are the main, I'm so sorry. Should have taken out the notifications. So yeah, just networking and building some, building a bank account, some savings, and definitely being secure.
That's really good advice. And what about you, Saint? What advice would you offer Hostos students if they're hesitant to start their own business?
Yeah, I would recommend them to start. And before I begin, thank you for having me here, and thank you for the panel, beautiful panel we put together. So my advice would be start, because it's always, business is just a continuous learning journey. You will never know all you need to start. You will never have everything you need to start. So the best advice will be start and just focus on learning. And I will echo Tanya on that, on the point where don't quit your job and just start. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So it probably the best idea for you to learn as you go into that function. But I also will recommend, as best as possible, try to stay close to something that you know. Don't leap into something brand new, quitting everything behind, just jumping in ahead. It sounds fun, but usually in practices turn out not so fun. So I would recommend, if you think of an idea, you think of it for a reason. If you think of a problem that you want to address with the business, that idea is coming to you for a reason. So go toward that, but also be reasonable in your planning.
Thank you, Saint. And Dale, next question for you. What do you enjoy most about being an entrepreneur?
Let's see. I honestly love my product. So I light up beautiful homes. They're gorgeous during the day, but when you pull up at night, you don't even see the house. And when you light that up, and when the homeowner goes, oh my God, and the neighbors see it and so on, and then that you produced that you made that beauty. It's really a great feeling. So.
Thank you. And what about you, Gary? What do you enjoy most about being an entrepreneur or business owner?
Well, I want to answer that question, and I also actually wanted to build on something that Saint mentioned. I guess I'll first, to Saint's point, the idea of starting an entrepreneurial venture, just making sure that maybe looking for first partners that can incubate your idea, making sure that it is strategic steps that you're taking, especially if you don't have in the bank a bunch of money that you can write out for a year. So in my case, I had the fortune of pitching my idea to a college. The college took me on, and I was able to, in the context of being a salaried employer for 7 years, building out the organization to the point that then it got spun off to become a nonprofit. But that it wasn't just, I took a chance without any kind of buffer. It's still, especially towards the end, and as it was the pandemic and we had to transition out, that was scary, and there was no safety cushion, but you also have to believe in yourself that you could do it. But it is also considering that there are you need to create an environment where it makes sense on a financial level, and also on a kind of mental health level, because this work is not easy. For sure, it's not for everybody.
Right.
But what do I like most about it? It requires all of me. It requires me to be the most creative version of myself. That the buck ends with you. Your organization will fail if you don't put in the time. Nobody else will care about it as much as you do. And so you're the biggest investor. That's sweat equity right there. And that is trying, not definitely others, like you have to think about your own lifestyle and that's why I spoke about values, that it is such an important thing that it aligns with you. And it's been, Saint mentioned that it needs to be something you know what you're doing. So important not to move away from that, because it's not just comfort, it's also if you know what you're doing, that work is probably also because you invested a lot of time into it, because you really you thought about it. It takes up mental space, and so it should be on a kind of basic level, just interesting on a day-to-day to engage with the work. And on that entrepreneurial level, now you add the level of uncertainty and maximum kind of skill growth across all areas, including things that you don't know. But it begins with at least that kind of passion for a core thing, which motivates and can help you overcome a lot of barriers, certainly.
Yvonne, we actually have 2 questions in the chat, in the Q&A.
You want to ask them?
Yeah, sure. Q Bishop asked, let's say you want to start 2 businesses, but you don't know how to go about it. So I think it's more like they're just wondering, how do they go about starting 2 businesses?
What are the 2 businesses? Are they related? Like, what are they?
Yeah, that would be a good question. When you're starting businesses, again, the idea of starting business should not just be, it's fun to start businesses and to do. The business is to address an issue that you think you can address, basically. That's usually where the good business that can grow come from. It comes from you finding a problem that you think you can address and finding a solution to that potential problem. That's the business. The business is not just, in theory, it's not just a theoretical thing. It's something that, as Gary mentioned, is going to take a lot of your time. It's going to take a lot of space in your head, in your life. It's something that you have to decide, but you usually will select the business that you, based on, hey, how much time do I want to do? Because in general, if you start 2 businesses at the same time, it might be too much, especially if they're the first business that you're starting. It might be too much, because just the business itself or running the activity could be easy, but the background of the businesses, all the finance, the document, all the things that you need to maintain could be too much if you're novice, if it's your first ever business that you started.
I read in the chat, Q, that you want to start a hair business and a t-shirt business. So what I would advise is to start the hair business first and grow your clientele and get a good network of people that you could then sell your t-shirts to, and that'll kind of grow and piggyback one on top of the other. But don't start fresh or just off the bat, a hair business and a t-shirt business, because you really have to focus 110% on one, and then and then it could branch out and you could do a million things from one and then build on top.
Alaris, was there another question in the chat box?
Can I add something?
Gary was trying to say something.
I just wanted to add that I think it's important not to compartmentalize your life. If you're doing 2 businesses and they're unrelated or intimately connected, then you are splitting your mental energy across those two, and that is you have to consider whether you're giving the customers of that business the level of service that they deserve. So ultimately, you're there to serve a market purpose, and if the customers don't feel that you're the best representative of the best product, then you ultimately just kind of will go away naturally from that market. So if you really believe that you should be there, I think taking Tanya's idea and moving it linearly, building from one to the other is probably the best.
Dale, did you want to say something?
I did. So if you look statistically at business failings, you'll see that a high percentage of businesses fail in the beginning. And if you're trying to start two at the same time, those statistics are in the 90s that both of your businesses will fail. So again, focus on one, 3 years, 5 years, hey, maybe in a year you're making crazy money. Then you could branch off and do the other one. And I just wanted to follow up on the last question. If you really want to get into business, I don't care, a service business, you go to work for somebody. You go to work for somebody in that industry and you learn everything there is about that industry, and you make all the mistakes on his payroll, if they're all going to be mistakes. And then you could start on the side doing little projects. And before you know it, believe me, it took me at least 6 years to make real money. Okay. Starting your own business is not easy, and it involves a lot of work. So not just doing the manual labor, ordering, billing, emails, the whole slew, calling people, loading up the van, taking care of the van, taking care of your employees, ordering t-shirts. It takes a lot of, effort. So.
Thank you.
But I also want to echo that. Let us not, don't feel scared by hearing what I'm saying here on the panel. It's not also impossible, right? Everybody in the panel have done it, so it's not impossible. I'll echo that if you want to start a business, it's just think of it in steps. If you can't jump 5 steps at once, you want to do step by step. So if you're having a lot of different things, it doesn't mean you can't have, if you hear from my bio, I do a lot of things, a lot of different things, but you don't start them all at once. You start one and you build a team that is comfortable, that can run that particular sector well. Then you can build the other one. If you build a team that can run that particular part well, then you can branch off to other things. But again, don't try to branch off on too many things at once. That's when you get divided in your image and you won't be able to focus on either. You end up missing deadline, not servicing your client like Gary and Dale were mentioning, and then end up not doing good in either.
Laris, was there another question in the Q&A?
Yes. There are actually 2 questions now. The Zoom user, what's the difference? The individual doesn't have a name, but what's the difference between nonprofit organizations and profit organizations?
I guess the short answer to that would be that there's the money, whether or not it comes out of the business or it stays in it. That's the short of it. So there is no profit that gets, it doesn't mean that a nonprofit doesn't make money. It just means that the money never leaves the actual organization, and it's always in service of growing that organization. So in a way, it almost like a nonprofit kind of stays the way that startups begin, where money is always reinvested into the business. It always takes that character in service of the community.
Thank you, Gary. And then the last question is, what are some good marketing strategies that you can recommend?
Depends what industry you're in, but the first one is just to know your customer and who you're targeting your product towards. And then just really get to know their wants and needs. And it's not really about telling people about your product, it's about telling them how the product is going to help them, like find their problem and solve their, come up with their solution.
I will echo that. It's just about presenting your solution to a problem that an existing market had. Marketing is, generally we think of marketing wrong. We think it as strategy, technique to attract and capture people as their bit. That's not the ideal way of marketing. The ideal marketing is finding where the people that need your services are, the people that have the problem that you're solving for are, and how you can effectively present your solution to them. So, like Tanya mentioned, it depends on your customer, where they are, and how they can get in contact with your solution. So, from one industry to the next, the marketing style will be completely different. The effective marketing style will be completely different.
In my business, if you Google my name, you'll see a bunch of reviews. These are customers that filled out the review after I did their installation. And I also utilize Google Ads. So every month I spend whatever X amount of money. So when somebody Googles, landscape lighting, my ad will pop up and they click on it. For me, it's been well worth it. Before that, the only marketing I really had was doing good work and getting, recommendations by clients. And to this day, that still happens. But in order to reach a broad audience, the 5 boroughs, there's millions and millions of homes, right? But today, when somebody Googles landscape lighting near me, that's my marketing.
Yeah, I guess I would add to that that your product is the greatest marketing tool if it's good, if it fulfills a need. Our organization for much of its life is based on word of mouth, and now we're adding the new levels of using Google Ads. Thankfully, nonprofits get like $10,000 a month of free Google Ads, and then other types of support. We're also the #1 on SEO for tutoring in New York City. So all of that is great. So some of it is digital marketing strategies, some of it, but a lot of it I think stems just from is the product meeting the need in the best way? So you need to do some market research on like who are your competitors, I guess, quote unquote. Like I guess like that analysis of what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths, what we call SWOT, and where do you fit in, and make sure that you're not extending to things that you're not good at, because that's ultimately what you'll be known for. It's anything bad will outweigh the good sometimes. So you want to make sure to mitigate and create buffer for yourself, that you have room to make errors. So yeah.
Thank you. So question for Tanya, let's talk to Tanya a little bit. Owning your own business, it's not a typical 9-to-5 job. How do you manage your work-life balance?
It's a great question. I've been actually kind of struggling with that because I work all the time. I'm glued to my email, to my phone. I love it, so I don't feel like I'm working, which is great. And I want to keep doing it until, I'm 100 years old. Like, I'm not looking forward to retirement, which is, I guess, the pleasure of having your own business, of doing something you love. But as far as, I've been working through balancing my schedule, and, if I send samples to one client and I feel like, okay, that was very productive, then I'll say, okay, well, now I can go take a break. Now I can go take a walk. Like, I allow myself the breaks and the walks and the travel and whatnot, I've only been doing this business for about 5 years, so it's still in the growing stages. And so most of my off-work activities involve networking, involve traveling, going to shows, doing cultural activities and meeting new people. So I have a focus, but I also want to make sure that I'm taking care of me, because if I'm not okay, then my creativity goes away. So I want to make sure that I am filled with joy and I do balance a healthy schedule.
And Saint, what about you?
Me, I always had too much to do in a day, so I live and die by my schedule. I follow my planner religiously. So my planner dictates what I do. I don't. So I've set up my schedule usually on Friday, review it on Wednesday. So and throughout those of the day, I just by what I've set up to do. Because when you start having your own business, and me, and not only do I have my businesses, I also have a job as well. So it makes my time always very limited to other activities. So I schedule my whole life on what I need. So time for family is automatically scheduled in my calendar. Personal time or personal space. I need some time just to be by myself and reflect. So all those are included in my calendar. So that, and from now on, after the Friday, I just obey by what I set up to have. Usually I'm not as flexible in my calendar. I'm one of those people that you cannot contact in my off time. So all my time I set. All my friends know that I'm a bad communicator, because you can't contact me off those times where I'm supposed to be communicating. So I think the best way when you start doing multiple things, or when you get into your business, is having a set schedule. I think, at least for me, it works. Having a set schedule that you work from.
Thank you.
We actually have a few questions. So the first anonymous attendee, I'm not sure who you are, but feel free to put your name in the chat box. I am interested in selling custom-made lingerie robes. I get good feedback when I show pictures, but my sales aren't coming in. So he or she would want to know what can they do to make their sales come in.
I'll take it because I feel like it's most close to my industry. I would say look at what you're pricing them at. I sell pillows for $800, and my friends all love them, but they're not buying them, So if your price point, if you're selling a robe for $300 and the people who are liking the robes can only pay, $50 for a robe, they go to Target or they go to H&M, then that's probably why you're not selling them. Maybe if your robes are expensive, maybe you need to target a more luxury market. Maybe, I'm guessing you don't have the quantities to right now. You're not having the quantities to make a bunch in China. So I'm sure your prices are pretty high, I'm gonna assume. So, if it's good quality, if you're working with good quality, if they're handmade, if they're made in New York, if they're made in US, try to find maybe a shop that will sell them at a higher price point. It's also about marketing, like invest in good models, a good photographer. Even if you don't have the budget for it now, it's probably in our digital era. That's how you get your message across. And so investing in good images, in quality images, just look at magazines, look at ads, and try to really think about how your images compare to that. Because if you're selling a $500 robe, you can't sell it if your pictures look like you paid, $100 for the pictures. That's, not the sad truth, but like a hard truth to take it.
Perfect, thank you. The next question is Felix Sanchez. What are your recommendations or thoughts for those thinking about marketing their business only on social media? Maybe some do's and don'ts.
Well, social media is a great place to market. Again, it's about where your customer is. If you think most of your customer use social media, which they do, and you have a good strategy on how you will approach that. Social media is an excellent platform. Most businesses now, if not all businesses now, market on social media. So some do's and don'ts, again, it will depend on what your particular market is. But at the beginning, you don't want to spend too much on social media. Social media marketing can become expensive very quickly, especially when you don't know what you're doing. You end up paying for ads that don't return the money that you invested on. So you have to have a lot of testing when it comes to social media. Test a lot of different ads, a lot of different campaigns, and see how they return. But again, you want to start, when you're starting a business, you want to start with less, not spending more. Spending when you need to, not unnecessarily. And if you don't understand well the strategy behind the social media, it will cost you more than it will return. So that's the problem. So it's a good and bad thing depending on how you use it.
Thank you, Saint. Gary?
Yeah, I would add to that it really depends also, is it a business to business or business to customer type of relationship? Because different social media work better for it. Certainly where the customers are on places like TikTok and Facebook, but where the businesses are on LinkedIn. And if you want to connect with other businesses that you might want to service, you want to build relationships with them, we use it a lot. That LinkedIn Premium is a very important investment in ourselves month to month, because that's how we build relationships with other nonprofits, with other, considering that we do professional mentorship, and that means we get different mentors from across industries involved, and also how we fund ourselves is through sponsorships by companies. That is one way for us to get in contact, cold contacting folks, and you need to have the right pitch, and there's a lot of tactics around using LinkedIn well. One of those, for example, is if you sign up for a group, you can actually send full-on messages to people on LinkedIn as opposed to sending little notes on LinkedIn, which have a character limit. So it's just, it's understanding, as everybody on this panel has mentioned, segments that you're targeting and making sure that you have a good crafted message for them. And then looking at the different platforms, because different groups are gonna live on those different platforms.
Thank you, Gary. We have a few more questions. So, Elijah, do you have any advice or thoughts on using the equity in your home in order to finance your business plan to the extent that you currently don't have enough liquidity to get the ball rolling?
Let me jump ahead again on this. So that's a very difficult question. Very difficult, and I understand why you're posing it. It's a very good question, right? Using the equity. Again, when you use the equity on your home, that means you don't have that liquidity anymore. You can invest that into another business. So it depends on how the expected return that you have from one to another. Right? If you have a businesses, like we said, that you understand, that you have been working in, let's say it's a career, it was your former career that you want to do business in, and you understand what it will actually take in order for you to start it, it might be a good idea. But now, if it's a startup that you are uncertain about, you can lose that equity completely by investing in the business. And Dale mentioned earlier the rate of failure for startup. So it's always something to consider when you're having those, when you discussing that in your, with the, with yourself, within yourself. Is it something that you're sure that the return, you have some degree of certainty of how the business will start or run? Or is it something that is completely new? And depending on that, that's where you put your decision. Again, I try not to be more specific on yes or no in a question like that, because those are, serious question, and it depends on the business that you're starting. Let's say I was getting equity, my home equity to buy another property somewhere. That might make sense if I know how much that property will return me, how much I will invest, how much I will sell it for. That will make sense to me, for me to take the equity here and invest over there. But if I don't know that, it will be a difficult question to answer.
Thank you, Saint. Q Bishop would like to know tips or feedback on how to make a schedule for your own business.
Wake up early, go to sleep late. That's mine.
That's a schedule that I always work. Well, that's a schedule that is mandatory when you start a business, especially on the earlier stage. It's mandatory. You wake up early and go to bed late. So, but I would say when I use a couple of tools that help me plan and see. So usually it depends on the task that you have and where you are. For example, if you're still on the research phase, you have a different schedule than when you full on launching a product. When you're launching a product, depending on what product you have, your schedule will look different, basically. If you have a service business, it probably depends on the hour of operation, depending on where the customer will come in or at what time the customer, or you have traffic in that area. If you have a product business, it's different. Well, it will depend on how you operate and you and your team operate. So some of these questions are hard for us to answer because it depends on your business. It depends on what business exactly you working on.
Well, maybe this is another question that can help answer the participant's question. As business owners, what skills, abilities, and personal attributes are essential to success in your job or in your field?
You want to jump in again? I feel like I'm talking too much now. Well, as a business owner, I think that there's a lot of things that you won't know about your business, about your customer, about your industry, about everything that you're doing. You're not going to know a lot of things. So the first thing is learning how you learn, how you get information, how you transform information, how you can use information. Because as a business owner, your main task is making decisions and making good decisions for your business. So the very first skill will be learning how to do that, how to make effective decisions. And making good decisions is how you understand information that are available, how you transform them in your head, and how you actionize those decisions or those information, how you can transform an information to an action item. And that's I think is the very first skill every business owner, regardless of the industry, must master. And after that is patience. You're going to be dealing with customer, a team member that don't see things exactly as you do at the time. So patience will be another key point, at least in my opinion. And the other thing will be consistency. Because you're going to be tired. Someday you're not going to want to do your business, no matter how much you love it. Some morning you're going to wake up and it's not going to be that day. It's going to be that day where you don't want to do your business. But if you have made commitment already, You should honor your commitment as a business, or as a business owner. You should honor those commitments. So I think with those three skills, I know the panel will add definitely to this, but I think those are, at least to my perspective, the first three things. The rest, you honor your customer, you make sure that you understand and you keep learning about your industry and the business that you're doing, and that you lead your team with patience and compassion and understand in creating that vision where they can follow. Stop there and give a chance to my other.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary. I definitely want to hear your perspective.
Yeah, I would build on what Saint was saying, certainly in terms of once you establish a foundation of understanding how you're going to approach this, and really ruminating on that and giving yourself the space for that, you need to communicate what is it that you're going to do. One, to yourself, to your family, to people who you might be collaborating with, who might be working for you, and to your customers. So effective written and oral communication is key. And it would behoove anyone who's going into that to part of it being really having the patience to listen to different audiences, because there's a lot of it like you have to kind of strip yourself of because communication, a lot of it is active listening, is understanding what people are saying and then incorporating it into your ask, incorporating it into the delivery of any message about your product. If you are resistant to that, if you feel like you know best, then you're actually misunderstanding your role as a business owner, understanding your role as an entrepreneur. You're fulfilling some need. You're actualizing something that didn't exist for the benefit of the community, whether you're a nonprofit or for-profit leader. And so to see it as a kind of see it not as you're kind of a servant to the community, then you will probably fail at the venture. But as long as you are listening, and so that is interlinked then with leadership, because if you're listening to the community, but you also need to listen to the people who will help make it work. Your volunteers, your family, your employees. You need to be supportive of them and empower them to do the work. Otherwise, again, it's not going to be successful.
Dale, I know that you had your hand raised. Did you want to contribute to this conversation?
I did. I mean, in the service industry, like I am, so when I go to a house to do a proposal, the odds are 99% chance they called other companies. So I'm competing with other people, right, on this proposal. I'm always 5-10 minutes early. My van is spotless. I'm dressed appropriately. I speak with manners. I don't walk on their grass unless I have to. You know, I treat them honestly like royalty. And they ask me, I'm the designer, and I excite them, and I show them samples. I have a friend that doesn't even show samples when he sells a job, but he's so well known. He just says, well, go down the block. I did that house, and that house. So where I show up and I have high-end fixtures and I hand it to them so they feel it, solid brass. They're like, wow. I'm like, yes, it comes with a lifetime warranty, and like I said, service. If they have a bulb go out in 2 months, 3 months, a year, whatever, they call me. I just slide by and put a bulb in. You know what I mean? Again, it's all about treating people the way you want to be treated. A bulb costs me $3, the cheapest one. The most expensive is like $30. But again, just being a real good person. And again, when I do my proposal, I always do a little extra, maybe throw in an extra light or something. Again, it costs me pennies, but it really means a lot to the customer, So, you gotta have character. You gotta be pleasant, and you gotta be able to talk to people like everybody in this panel.
Perfect. I have another question for the panelists, and I want to hear from Tanya. as well. What do you know now that you wish you would have known when you began your journey?
I think to be smarter with my money and to not jump at every opportunity that presented itself. You know, there are a lot of people who are trying to sell you things for your business and trying to sell you opportunities. And I think when you're pretty green, you get excited because a magazine reaches out. You get excited because, you know, somebody in the industry reaches out. And if they're asking for money, chances are that you should probably wait it out. Just, I guess, you know, every situation is different. I think what I know now is I triple check who they are, how it's going to benefit me. If I want to throw an event, like, where am I throwing it? Am I throwing it somewhere where editors are going to come by? I threw my first event in Williamsburg in a restaurant, and my friends were there, but, you know, I spent a lot of money on it, and it was a fun experience, but it is one of my regrets. You know, I could have saved that money and used it on something a little bit more productive. So just making sure you don't just throw all your money at the first opportunities.
Thank you for that. Dale, what about you? What do you wish that you knew? What do you wish now? What do you wish you knew now that you wish you would have known back when you began your journey?
So people told me, don't buy stuff unless you need it, like on that job. But when I went into it, I was like, I know I'm going to need this. I know I'm going to need this, you know, and I bought all kinds of tools, all kinds of extra stuff. I mean, I have stuff from 7 years ago that I never used. So, you know, be real frugal with your money and, you know, take it from the experts. Buy it when you need it, you know. And like Tanya was saying, you know, it was a great party, but her return on investment was, you know, not worth it. So, you know, you really got to be smart about your investments. Even your advertising, you know, you have to be real smart, you know, cheap, almost frugal, but almost cheap until you know.
I actually have a question that we would also like to ask the panelists. How did you raise funds to start your venture?
I worked in restaurants for many, many years, and I did a lot of different side jobs. But restaurants, I mean, I bartended, I waited tables, I managed, I did a lot of hospitality work. Because to be honest, to me, it was the one where I could make the most money, the fastest, legally. So for me, it was good. I had my days off and I would work at night, which was convenient for me. I was also younger and had more stamina. I don't want to do it now, you know, so it's definitely an industry for like a younger people, where you could do, you know, like doubles and triples, and yeah, it's tough, but yeah, that's how I made my money.
Gary, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, for me, we were incubated at the college, and so I was able to grow it. And for anybody thinking about starting a nonprofit, there is something called a fiscal sponsor, someone who can kind of take you under your wing while you're building it. We weren't ever that, but we kind of as close to that line. And once I actually was separating from the college, then it began, this goes back to the previous point, what would I wish I knew earlier? It's this, that nonprofits also have business models, and that you need to generate revenue, and that you need to really understand how are you gonna do that. And so for me, the first revenue actually came from Goldman Sachs and Citi and these major firms who started giving us funds because we were running events with them, and they were investing in us. So that was a lifesaver, but I kind of fell into a business model. I wish that I could sit down and was like strategize, but it was very much also like pivoting, needing to know. I guess maybe this isn't something that I wish that I knew, but it would have been helpful if I just came in with a very strong feeling about it, that pivoting your work and moving to a different product is not a bad thing. If the ultimate goal, like you have an understanding of where you want to head to, in the case of businesses, is ultimately to make profit, but also to probably have, I think for the newer generation of folks into the business, it's also just to have kind of a personal investment in how a business affects the community. So as long as you're open to that, and I had to, for example, during the pandemic, we're an educational program that had to pause all education programs because all nonprofits across the city basically shut down. So we had to think, well, we're on our way out of the institution. We have no money. We can't even do our own work. It's an existential crisis. So for us, it was, well, what else do we know how to do? And for us, it was professional development. We were doing that for our volunteers. So why not open it up to the city? Because there's a big need. And it ended up working out a lot for us. Last year, we did over 1,000 mentorships, and it opened us up to new possible revenue sources, because now we could work with companies who could sponsor our work in a way that they wouldn't participate with academic skill development. So it's kind of like, what are you open to? Being willing to pivot to that, as long as it allows for it and it doesn't, again, compartmentalize your work. Yeah. I know I tried to cram in a bunch there.
Thank you, Gary.
I can't find my questions.
Well, I think Marsha, maybe we have time for one more, and then we'll go into resources. Yeah.
I cannot find my questions. Can you ask the next question, please?
Sure. So it's funny. There's so many other questions we want to get to, but we'll take one last one and then we'll move on to our resources, because I know a lot of students want to find out about resources to help them with their growing their business. So last question I'll ask any of the panelists. How do you define success, and when did you feel you were successful in your business?
Success is a moving target. So success, as long as you keep moving the bar, that's, you should feel successful when you're happy with an outcome, but always keep reaching higher.
Thank you.
And I'll echo Tanya on that. Success, I don't think I have attained success yet. It's always a moving target. Whenever you reach it, you see how you could do better, how your business and service better, and how your solution could be improved. Every time your solution could be improved, you're not done yet. So it's always going to be a moving target.
I guess for me, building on what was said, making it local by using something we call key performance indicators. So KPIs, just like writing out what is it that you're going to, how much do you need to achieve each month? What is it that you're going to achieve? And that, in a very visual sense, you can see, did I meet my target? Did I not? You of course need to have a lot of conversations before to determine whether those are the right targets. But the target should like in a quantitative fashion, articulate what does success for your organization mean. And if it's how much sales you're making or how much profit you're getting, all of that is great. Just determine with your team what that will look like.
So when I was younger, success meant the Corvette, the speedboat, the Ninja. My wife had Minx and whatever. Today, let's see, success. Every job that I do and the customer's happy, that's a success. I have well over 6 months worth of bills, money to pay all my bills in the bank. Every time I reach in my pocket, there's a few dollars there. I take a vacation or 2 or 3 a year. For me, and going from Old Dale to New Dale, I feel like I'm a success now. You know, I'm living. I'm not rich. I don't even want to be rich. I don't want to work 24/7. You know, I'm old. I want to live. That's it.
This is all great, and I'm telling you, we have so many more questions in the Q&A that I wish we can get to, but because the entire community has banded together, we want to support our students, I do have a quick PowerPoint with additional resources. Alaris, if you could share the sign-in sheet one more time. I need to make sure that anyone that wants me to share these resources with them, you know, puts in their email address so that I could send it to you. So I'm just going to do a very quick presentation with some resources that I found to help you with starting your business. So I'm just going to go from here. So these are just some additional resources that are available. We have some resources here at your home at Hostos Community College and within CUNY, and then we have some resources to share with you from NewYorkCity.gov and other resources. Yvonne, do you want to share about the Grow with Google?
Yeah, sorry, I had myself on mute. You would think by now I would get it down pat, right? So students, we just launched this Grow with Google opportunity for you, and there's different paths. I like to call them modules, but Google calls them paths, and there's a particular one that we thought would be useful for you because you're interested in growing your business. So there's 7 paths in this topic. And so you could learn about preparing for your business, writing a business plan, which is really important when you're starting your own business, right? Estimating financing for your business, building an online business, managing a project, understanding biases and overcoming barriers. The program is, again, and this is just one of the paths, but you could go online, it's all online, watch videos and read some information, and then get a certificate when you're done with the path. And this is there's a lot of different paths in the Grow with Google, but again, we're just sharing this resource with you because it has to do with entrepreneurship, but it's really to help you in getting started with your business. I know one of the questions earlier was, how do I get started? So if you want more concrete information, videos, this is a great opportunity for you to do it. It's all online. There is a link to the path that you would have to just log in, and you can take the modules or paths, as Google calls it. And if you want more information on Career Services website, we have all of the paths. If you're interested in doing more, you could do some or all of them. And then again, once you complete the entire path, you get a certificate. Stay tuned for upcoming campus activities to get more information about Grow with Google. Thank you.
Perfect. And in this slide, I do have all of the links. Anything with a red arrow has a direct link so that you can get to the website where this information is housed. Again, Hostos is a great resource for you to start your business. We're talking to 2 alumni today who have started and have been successful with their own business. The next thing, I work for Transfer Services, and I have a lot of students that are looking to build their own business but want to work on their entrepreneurship mindset. If you wanted to attend Baruch, you do not have to be a business major. What you could do is they do have a minor for business, for non-business majors. And some of the courses that you could take would be developing the entrepreneurial mindset, creating entrepreneurial opportunities, and designing for innovation. So again, if you want to just take some courses to really see if you really want to start that business, this is another way for you to go. 9 credits is 3 courses, and it can really help you get into that mindset. NewYorkCity.gov has the New York City Small Business Services, and there are many resources within this portal alone. There's one for Black entrepreneurs, there's one for women entrepreneurs. There are so many events that are happening, which is why I really pulled out just this section. This one is for Black entrepreneurs in New York City. Again, the link is here. And what I really liked about this is that they actually have a mentoring program. And their goal is to increase the number of Black-owned businesses in high-growth industries, and they want to have a programmatic focus on providing technical assistance to pre-startup and newly formed businesses. So all of those questions that you have about how do I start my business, where do I go for help, you can request a one-on-one, and you can find some masterclass group sessions. These are all free. There's no reason for you to pay to learn how to build your own business. Another part of this specific BNYC is that they have a long list of mentors. This page went on forever, and there's different mentors for different industries and different companies, and you could schedule a BNYC mentor session. Again, the link is here, and they do have networking events, as Tanya has spoken to us about, that's very important to network with people within the industry. You could do a one-on-one consultation with people, and really start making your idea that's living up here in your head and putting it into action, right? And building up those steps, just as Tanya, as Dale, as Gary, and as Saint has done in creating their own business. The next one, because Hostos supports all of our students, there is a free 8-week online prep course for inmates to entrepreneurs. This is a service for students who have been formerly justice involved, and it's a free course that's offered year-round. I know they have a new one starting up in March, and topics that are covered include marketing, business finance, setting up a business, sales, amongst other things. Now, do I know that you have to prove that you were an inmate prior to take part of this? I have no idea, but I would rather them tell you no than you, than you think that you can't be a part of this online learning opportunity. I just got this resource today. This is private sector loan and grant opportunities, and it goes by location. So over here it says the Bay Area, but I saw lower it had opportunities for people that live in the Bronx, people that live in Brooklyn. So this is private sector loan and grant opportunities so that you could start your business. So if you create your business plan and you have something written down, you can potentially get a grant to help you start your business. Okay. I know that I'm going through this. I just want to be able to make sure if we can answer some more questions that we can. And here are additional resources. Again, the New York City Small Business Services provides resources for starting your business, and there's a link to the page. Forming an LLC, this was a question that was inside of the chat. How to register your business, and New York City Business Quick Guides. I want to thank Career Services for sending me this information on the fly. This is all information that will be sent to you at the end of this discussion today. And finally, if you have any additional questions, if you need any additional support with your business in participating with the Grow with Google, you can feel free to reach out to Yvonne, Alaris, or myself, again, within the Career Services or the Transfer Services office, okay? So that was my quick rundown on a lot of the resources. And I'm still getting some resources put in. If I get anything more, I'd be happy to share it with you all.
Marsha, I also wanted to give Gary an opportunity to talk about the city tutors because they provide mentorship opportunity as well. Gary, do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Sure. Thank you for the time. The City Mentors Program connects students, but it doesn't have to be students. It could be also alums of Hostos and anybody in the community with opportunity to get connected with industry insiders from fields you're looking to get into. So if you want to be connected with someone from the startup world who's themselves an entrepreneur, if you want to get connected with people within the finance, tech, fashion, you name it sector, we have folks like that. We have over 600 mentors. There's no cost to you. It's self-paced, session by session commitment. And it's very easy to sign up. You would just go to thecitytutors.org, and I bet that the Hostos team can send out an email with that information.
Thank you.
I am writing that down, and I'm going to add it to the packet to send to everyone. Thank you so much, Gary.
Happy to.
Do we have, well, it's 4:50. I was going to see if we had time to answer some of the questions in the Q&A. Let me pull it.
I think we probably have we can answer one more, but before we answer it, I just want to let everyone know that we do have a survey. We do want to continue to have these discussions and offer support to our entire campus community. So we do have a survey in the chat, and we're asking everyone to please complete that survey. Let us know how this session went today, and if there's any other topics that you would like for us to bring in the future. So I just added it to the chat. Just please complete the survey, and don't forget to complete the sign-in sheet.
And you will also be entered to win a gift card.
Yes.
So please
Yes.
fill it out. That way you can be entered for the gift card.
And
sorry, go ahead.
I know that Dale wanted to say something.
I just wanted to say that if anybody is interested in reaching out to me, if they have any questions, you're welcome to. They'll provide my email address. And again, you might not be doing landscape lighting, but any business, electrician, a plumber, whatever industry that you're doing, they're all the same, when it comes down to just starting a business and moving along. So feel free to reach out.
Perfect. Thank you, Dale. So I guess we have time for one more question. Do you have an extensive online identity to make your business more accessible for people?
I guess I could go. It's a combination of, you try to get some placements and with the media. So for us, it's a combination of local newspapers and press releases from company partners. Recently, I spoke with a Queen's Ledger journalist, so that will be coming out, and a Bloomberg press release came out. And then if you have opportunities to do any kind of radio or anything like that, that will pick up your SEO most certainly if you're planning to really focus on that digital presence. Then focusing on any kind of advertisements as well, and making sure that your LinkedIn is present, because you're the face of the organization. I would argue LinkedIn is kind of without some, like as someone who doesn't already have an established business, your best bet to sell yourself as a consultant for some area of need is by building something that presents you as that and controls your communication. And so having that available, which you can, let's say you sign up for mentorship, they can help you set up that LinkedIn, and it could be from the area. The person who's helping you could also have maybe similar background to where you want to enter, or just someone who's a social media branding person.
Thank you. Do we have, let me see, I think all of the questions were answered. So if we don't have any other questions, please make sure to complete the survey. It's been added twice on the chat. We stress it because we want for you to get a gift card, and we also would like to obtain your information just in case if we can send you additional resources. And we would like to thank all of our panelists for joining us today and sharing so much information and so many resources and insights for our students, and even for ourselves, that we can probably provide to our students in the future. And we would also like to thank the Career Club, Transfer Services, the Justice Committee, and the Career Services Office for collaborating and making this event happen. So we thank you all for attending. Thank you to all the attendees. Please fill out the survey and the attendance form.
Oh, and I saw that Career Services has an upcoming social media and job search workshop. I'm going to make sure that I add that to the packet, and I make sure I'm going to send that out to everyone today. So listen, I want to wish everyone good luck with their businesses. We hope that it grows and it becomes great. I love hearing from our Hostos alumni and other CUNY affiliates. Thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you to my co-hosts, Yvonne and Alaris. We make a dynamic team, and I'm really looking forward to doing the next event with you as well. So thank you everyone for being here today. Have a wonderful and safe week.
One more thing I want to add before we leave. The workshop on March 11th that the Career Services Office will be holding. We also provide gift cards for the workshops as well. So if you attend, you will get a gift card to the attendees, to the students. If you attend the workshop, you will be put in a raffle to also receive a gift card. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But anyway, again, thank you everyone for coming, and thank you everyone for attending and participating. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good
Bye,
night.
everyone.
Bye.